Well, a very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candy Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evans Okinyi, and I'm always glad to bring you up to date with comprehensive and very elaborate analysis of all that is taking place in this country and across our borders. I'm here with Professor Herman Manyora. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Yes.
Richard normally says that you're aging like fine wine.
I'm not even aging. I'm a young man. We are Gen Zs.
You're still a young man here.
Yes.
Here, something is happening in our favorite sector here, the sector of education. It seems like this sector is actually ailing in the country, and it's actually on ICU. Some people are saying here that education in Kenya is on its deathbed. The president says, look, here I am, and I'm here to save it. We've got problems ranging all the way from teachers who are now on strike. Remember, Kupet have said that they're still on strike. NAT definitely decided to lift their notice, so to say. And so we are here. The students at the university are also struggling with the new funding model. Let's begin from the teacher strike. Why do you think there is this sort of problem between the teachers and the employers with regards to implementation of all these CBAs and all this? What do you make?
You know what? From time immemorial, teachers have now worked for money. Okay. Teachers work for God, not for money. In medieval Europe, if somebody was lost, people would say, where is Evans? And somebody would say, he's either pedagogue or he's dead. And he's either a teacher somewhere or he's dead. So I think that has been exploited in many places in the world. But those countries that have realized the meaning of education have treated their teachers well.
Okay.
There is serious correlation between well-paid teachers and good education. So those countries we keep admiring in terms of how well they are placed in terms of education. They also happen to be the countries which pay teachers very well. In this country, teachers were never considered to be anything.
Okay.
If you look at the origin and how Africans began to teach, at what levels they were teaching, what kind of duties they were being given, beginning meaning with what they used to call the monitor system, where bright students in school would be almost teachers for their... So that has gone on and on. Up to now, nobody seems to respect teachers. Okay. Right from the primary school teacher to the university teachers. And that partly explains why our education system is in shambles. Okay. Why we do not have a serious education system. Why we don't produce well-educated people. Because we do not respect our teachers, we don't pay our teachers, we don't take care of their welfare. If you look at the salary that people earn, from primary school teacher to university professors, it tells a sad story. Okay. So that's where the problem is, and nobody seems to want to do anything about it.
Okay. Somebody would ask, do you think we've got the capacity and the money and the resources to employ teachers and pay them good sum of money so that they can actually do their mandate properly?
You know what? I know in this world, when there are two paths or even more, path number one is for the narrow, straight, and the simple. Path number two is for complicated, complex, not clear, roundabouts, not straight, crooked. If you take this crooked path, you will always get into the problems we are getting into. If you take the narrow, straight, and simple, everything falls in place. What is this narrow and straight about education?
Make me understand.
This country can only give free education. Anything else will not work. It will simply not work. It has never worked. That's why you interact with the people in Busa dens and in bars and other places. You see, this is a brain. If this man had finished education, yes, I would not be the one sitting here. He will be the one sitting where I am. They are there, we interact with them. But because of the cost of education, many of these people have been locked out of schools. Today we are making it even worse. And therefore the narrow, straight, and simple for a country like Kenya, all factors considered, is to offer free quality education.
Okay.
From primary or kindergarten to university. And yes, we have more than the resources we need to do that. Yes.
Do you therefore agree with the assertions of the Chief Justice, definitely Honorable Martha Koome, who said that sometimes she doesn't even want to watch the television because the things which she actually says with regards to education in this country are kind of disheartening?
Yeah, of course, of course. How do you choose to give money to crooks in the name of MPs?
And that is what
to
I
go
wonder.
and splash.
All these bursaries everywhere.
To go and appear like small gods. To have people kneel for them. People beg them. People go to their homes as early as 5 a.m. in the morning. I mean, then governors have their own. Governor scholarship, governors bursaries, national government bursaries, scholarship. That money is enough to offer free education.
Okay.
Just the same with health. So we are running away from the narrow and simple and going to the complex. Sometimes out of ignorance. Sometimes we don't know why we are doing it. Many times, most of these people in charge are just foolish people.
Okay.
Let me tell you, for example, health. When people say we must have SHIF or NHIF before it, you know, many people are just stupidly ignorant. They don't know why that is the case. You are trying to look at countries like America and asking yourself, do you know you die if you didn't have money? Because you need money to go to hospital. You need insurance. The question you must ask yourself, can't America afford to give people its free education, free health? Do they have a problem if they chose to? Free. Would America have a problem?
No, they don't.
They wouldn't have a problem. They have all them. But why are they not doing it? It is their way of doing things. It's an ideology. It is, health is an enterprise. Because if you chose to do these things free, the service providers in the health sector industry will not make their dollar. So you make it as an entirely private things, so that the private sector, the big farmers, the pharmaceutical companies, those ones, big ones, the doctors, the private clinics, so that they are players in the health sector.
Okay.
It's not because America cannot afford, it can afford. But according to them, that's not the way to go. Okay. So when the people here talk about NHIF and SHIF, some of them are just stupidly ignorant. They don't know a country like Kenya, you can't afford to run private health because the people who are supposed to participate in that insurance business don't have the money. And the product of that is that there are Kenyans who are going to suffer and spread disease to other Kenyans and strain the public health sector system. Finally, what goes round comes round, okay? They don't even know that if you said there is insurance and there is 100 shillings you have to pay per month, there are many Kenyans who can't afford.
Okay.
So the question then you must ask yourself, how much would it cost for us to give free health care?
Okay.
The answer is surprising. It is just the money we already have, the money we are already spending on in the healthcare sector, the money we are giving governors, county governments for health, the money we are keeping at the national level for referral hospitals, the money we are spending for all manner of interventions, gee, what. If you put those resources together and use the existing facilities that we have, the infrastructural facilities, you'll give quality health care to Kenyans. You walk in, walk out. Same with education.
Okay. I want us to, still within the context of education here, let's shift our focus on what has caused a lot of mayhem in recently. That is the new funding model. A lot of students are lamenting that it's actually keeping them out of access to quality education. And here we are. The president recently had this town hall meeting with the student leaders across this country. But my question would be, before this, actually, immediately he got into office, office, the president decided to form that task force, yeah? Remember the one on education reforms that were led by various professors and vice chancellors from universities in this country here. And I believe that task force was actually paid using public money. Do you believe that public money went in vain? Was it just wasted that way? Because here we are, people are lamenting that this thing is not working.
We don't even need a task force. We know what needs to be done. Why do you need a task force? You just need a serious man or woman and give him the education sector to be the CS and get him serious permanent principal secretary. And that's all. They'll work the rest with the existing stakeholders. It's not magic. You don't need a task force. Yeah. What do you need a task force for in funding university education? All factors considered, Kenya cannot afford not to have free university education. All factors considered. Look at all parameters. Look at the state of the economy. Look at the poverty index. Look at all those factors, and the conclusion is just one. University education ought to be free in this country. Why? If you don't do so, you are going to lock out a lot of Kenyans. The new funding model is already locking out many Kenyans. What are you going to do? What are you going to get into? We're going to get into big trouble. Because we are going to have people in the streets of Nairobi and the streets of Kitale and the streets of Kwale and the streets of Kilifi, Mombasa, Ngoma, Kakamega, Nyeri. People in the towns who went to university, they were bright. Some of them finished 1 year. They couldn't continue. They went to the streets. Others did up to 3rd year. They couldn't finish. Others were even doing medicine, engineering, and they couldn't finish because of this funding model. And you have hordes of those young men and women in the streets. Where will we walk? Where will we sleep? They will finish us. Because these are intelligent people. We have cut short their dreams. As they roam the streets of Nairobi, and they see you in your flashy suit and nice cars, and they know they are better than you.
Okay.
It's only your children who could access university education, who are poorer than them academically, poorer than them. You think they'll give you rest? They will come for us. They will come for those who are making these policies.
Okay.
So you cannot convince me that a country like Kenya can charge university education. You can't. It can't work. It cannot work. It cannot work. It simply cannot work. These people making these policies received free education at the university. What makes them think people must now pay for it?
Okay.
They received free education at university level. Now they are in charge of policy. They are telling us they want to charge Kenyan children fees. And they themselves, a good number of these people now formulating these policies, charging fees and all manner of stupid called funding models. These people are beneficiaries of free education. They were fed free at the university. There was something called USAB. They were fed free food. We used to wash our hands after eating with coffee, black coffee, yeah. Now is our turn. We are formulating policy to lock other Kenyans out of education. I think it cannot get more callous than that.
Okay. This funding model was actually proposed at a time when most of the universities in this country were struggling financially. In fact, most of them, universities like Egerton universities, were on their financial deathbed at that particular moment. This was seen as some sort of a move to help bring them back to life.
That's
Do you
wrong.
think it has helped solve that problem of cash crunch?
It can't. This is a systemic problem. You cannot charge fees at a university. It's not possible. It's not sustainable, not in Kenya. Kenya cannot charge fees at the university level. You cannot. It can't work, and it won't work. So don't talk about any model. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's find out how to revitalize our collapsing higher education sector. Why are universities as useless as they are today? Do we need all these universities for now? We are busy promising others. We are busy starting others. The ones we have are completely rotten. Nothing's going on there. Everything's run down. There's no education going on. Why can't we have a few universities we can manage as a country, then progressively continue to add? If you ask me, let's have like between 5 and 10 public universities as fully fledged universities. Let the existing universities outside those 10, these others, let there be colleges, constituent colleges of the 5 or 10 national universities. Then over the years, we shall be upgrading as we move on. But for now, let's not lie to ourselves. Most of these things we are calling universities are just glorified high schools, bad high schools. In fact, there are universities in this country who are more useless than high schools.
Okay.
More useless in every way.
How comes you're saying this at a time when constituencies, you remember what was taking place in Gusii Highlands?
People want a university.
Yeah, actually people want a university. So will we have universities everywhere?
No, government must move out of that. And I want to urge the president, please don't travel that route. Don't kill it. I heard the president talking in the town hall saying, if you want to destroy a country, don't come with tanks. Just kill education. And that's what they are now doing. You are killing education by lying to people that you can start other universities when the ones you have are not universities.
Okay.
Why can't you even make the ones we have universities? Remove these useless vice chancellors. Appoint people who can run those universities. Put structures in place that can manage those universities. You see, if you look at what is happening in all these universities, including the University of Nairobi, the vice chancellor is supposed to be a god.
Okay.
You've seen tags of war between vice chancellors and council and ministers.
Definitely.
We can't, in the 21st century, we can't run like that. Let our university be the most democratic institution in this country. Because it is a beacon. It is what others look up to and see, this is how to run an institution. This is how to run a country. So universities must be the best run institutions. Because this is where we have the best brains in the country. So they must be run well. They must be democratic. There must be good governance. Then they must be funded. Because today, as it is, even if you fund these universities with the kind of poor governance they have, with the useless vice chancellors they have, they will not change anything. The money will just be eaten. So change governance in our universities, appoint the right men and women, put the right structures. Let Senate be a really Senate. Let the council be made up of people who can run a university. Then fund those universities adequately. Don't dump students there. Let government not pretend it can sponsor every child to university. Let's get only those we can manage reasonably. Let us promote tertiary institutions. Those who can't go to university, let them attend other tertiary institutions. Let's keep the road open for them. You can still move up in future. But for now, instead of admitting 100 Kenyans to receive useless education in useless universities, why can't you admit 20 who receive quality education?
Okay.
Yeah.
The president says that he consulted the vice chancellors and they told him that it's working for them.
Which one? They have told these are useless people. They are my bosses, but I'm saying on air they are useless people.
Finally,
Yes.
in that particular town hall meeting, do you think that it was necessary in the first place? Must the president come out to explain for us some of these things, that you must bring in student leaders from various places? Don't we have a fully functional Ministry of Education?
That's public relations, and we must stop. This is the 21st century.
Okay.
This country can survive only on big thinking, not on games, not on PR stunts. No, big thinking.
Okay.
If you tell me you are the minister in charge of education, I must see the capacity in you to think. Think, let me see you think about 100 years from now. What will Kenya look like in terms of education? If you are in charge of, if you are the PS or the minister in charge of education, I want you to give me a blueprint of how we are going to transform these useless primary schools into 21st century learning institutions for our children. That's where you don't need PR games. No, this is not about games. This is about the future of this country.
Okay.
The future is in education. But the bottom line, I want to tell you where the problem is. It is international players who are responsible for messing our education.
Okay.
Either our leaders know it or they don't know it.
And they're playing along.
Why? The rise of the middle class in Africa,
Yes.
the continent with the most youthful population, when all other nations are having a declining population in terms of population, and also they're having aging populations. Africa is bursting with youthful people. And what's more, and more worrying to these people, education is penetrating at a rate they didn't understand. They couldn't have believed. Now, a youthful Africa with a bursting middle class, with an educated citizenry, with hundreds of millions of educated, college-educated, university-educated Africans, the world will not continue to be what it is.
Okay.
The West, the East, whoever they are, who are exploiting Africa, will not exploit Africa if Africa is going to have her children educated. So what do? They must kill the education of Africa. And that's what's going on. And this is now more evident in Kenya today than anywhere else, where the education is being strangled by foreign interests who know the danger they will face if Africa is going to come out in the next 10, 15, 20 years with a highly educated, youthful population and with a serious middle class. The North-South exploitation will end.
Okay.
And they cannot allow that to happen. What do? Kill the education of Africa. You can now see it at play in Kenya.
Okay. What would your advice be to the president now that he acknowledges the fact that when you want to kill any country or any nation, then you go for its education? My
advice to the president is to know that this is a serious game.
Okay.
This is serious. Outsiders cannot allow Africa to have good education. And Kenya is one of the biggest threats.
Okay.
And therefore they must kill our education.
But he says that the president says that the previous model would have killed our education.
No, forget about it. The president must be advised accordingly. This country can only run one model. One, free quality education, and we can afford it. Any other thing won't work. Okay. And we are going to create people who will make life difficult for us. In another 10 years or less, it will be very difficult working in Nairobi during the day. Okay. Now you can't walk in Nairobi during the... I was telling somebody who used to walk in Nairobi here the whole night, rioting. Eh? There used to be a club, Alliance on Moy Avenue, then you will go to park on the inn, Uhuru Park, then you will move back to Garden Square, then, about KICC, then you will move to, it was called Starlight, where EACC is now. The whole night. Today you can't move in Nairobi. In another few years from now, you will not walk in the streets of Nairobi without a bodyguard. If you are smartly dressed, if you have a nice phone. Why? Because we are releasing into those streets people whose dreams have been shattered by charging university education. Okay. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it from Professor Herman Manyora here. You can weigh in on this conversation and tell us whether the new education funding model that has been proposed, or rather that is actually in action right now by the government, will actually help revitalize our education or kill it at the long last. Well, stay tuned for some of our programs that will be coming up next. Thank you for watching. My name is Evans.